Hello, my name is Jake Gato, and I would like to talk today about the role of non-governmental organizations in disaster relief. Non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, are the general term for an organization made up of private citizens with no affiliation with the government of any nation other than the support from government sources in the form of financial or in-kind contributions. NGOs can be motivated through religious or humanitarian values. NGOs' role in disasters are very valuable, especially in the disaster response and recovery phases. NGO response typically focuses on emergency food relief, temporary shelter, emergency medical aid, debris removal and habitat restoration, trauma counseling, and raising families after a disaster. NGOs tend to focus the most on humanitarian relief because they have no affiliation with government. NGOs also can affect policy implementation through lobbying for certain policies to be passed. NGOs operate in a coordinated effort with both public and private sectors in order to help ensure disaster relief goes according to their plans. Some of the more prominent NGOs in disaster relief include, but are not limited to, International Committee of the Red Cross, All Hands and Hearts, Doctors Without Borders, Samaritan's Purse, Direct Relief International, International Relief Teams, and Oxford Committee for Famine Relief. Some analysis on NGOs in disaster include NGOs are usually on the front lines during disaster relief. They are oftentimes the first to respond to a disaster and provide valuable coordinating efforts between the affected survivors and government agencies. As past disasters have reminded us, government cannot always be relied upon to help communities respond to and recover from disasters in the most efficient and timely manner. NGOs can mitigate this problem by taking on the brunt of the humanitarian aid efforts. Without NGOs, response and relief efforts would be tied down to bureaucratic discretion and subject to red tape. Some further analysis on NGOs determines that because NGOs are able to provide both financial support and personnel to areas that have been subject to disaster, they are seen as the most reliable form of restoring a community back to the state it was before the disaster. NGOs also operate as nonprofit organizations that receive money through donations. Thus, response and recovery supplies and resources are seen as a donation back to the community and are not funded through taxpayer money. Because of this, NGOs do not operate as a form of insurance or expect to be recompensated for their work. Instead, they accept money from those who have been helped by them to support the next disaster relief effort. These are the references that are used when gathering the information to determine how NGOs are active in disaster relief. Thank you for listening to my report on NGOs and disaster relief. Bye.